It was a long night for old Santa Claus. He had a lot to do. He was providing huge amounts of information on fraud to the whole world. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this Epstein, Trump, and company, Epstein, Trump, and company with the Clintons and the Bushes and the Moss backers and Alan Stanford and let's see, Andy Fastow and Lee Farkas and all the other stinking slobs like the Harris Mafia out of Conroe, Texas. Good old Harris mob. You know, John Wesley Harris, Harrisburg, Harris County, Texas, Houston, the great big 33,000 acre plus land shimmy and shake. Yeah, Colony Ridges. That's with an S, that's plural. Colony Ridges, and 650 more all over Monkey County there, out of Conroe. The old Montgomery County real estate scheme and scam. Swindles. And just for the record here, ladies and gentlemen, that's excuse me, I'll do this better here. It's fraud and deceit and fraudulent conveyances. It's a very interesting academic, collegiate, judicial treatise on the hocus and the pocus and the abracadabra and the presto changeo of a global market in real estate swindling and a global market in bank looting and a global market in money laundering and a global market in robbing every loan guarantee agency in the United States you can think of. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Federal Housing Authority, Farmers Home Administration, the Federal Home Loan Bank, and on and on and on and on and on. And on. I go way back 25, 30 years before Occupy Wall Street and the Zuccotti Park mobsters. And I tipped off the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists on the FinCEN papers. And I tipped off FinCEN. And I blew the whistle like crazy to the Department of Justice and the FBI. Hell, they put me in a recording booth. I was put in a recording booth at the FBI offices in 515 Rusk, Houston, Texas. They're across from Tranquility Park and the Republic Bank Tower, right next door to the George R. Brown, I think it was the name of convention center there off of the Allen Parkway back in 1982, I think. Long before the savings and loans and the banking looting scandals were made globally famous by yours truly, old Judson, the professor, the doctor. I got lots of witnesses. It goes back to Alan Stagg and what was that fella's name up in Sam Bushman at Liberty Roundtable in American Fork, Utah. And my good old friend and colleague, Bobby Harmon of the Catbird's Nest. Boy, the old Catbird's Nest used to publish me all the time. And let's see, ABC News, NBC News, Fox News, CNN, CBS, ABC, Houston Chronicle, Houston Post. Pick up the phone there and give an old ringy-dingy, give a ringy-dingy to Peter Bruton. You know, the mafia, the CIA, and George Bush, that Peter Bruton. And then I got a couple of buddies that are on the new Untouchables, The Con, with Eric Vaughn. Eric Vaughn's he's a big fan of mine, old Eric Vaughn is. Professor William K. Black, Richard Bowen, John O'Brien, Martha Cloakley, Jeff Thigpen. I can go all day long on Matt Widener's and Mark Stopa, and the Whistleblowers United Together, and oh God, the Government Accountability Project, and on and on and on and on and on. Trillions up in smoke. Laundering trillions, and on and on and on. Anon. My good old pals over there at the Anonymous. Holy shit, America. You think they redacted and hid and covered up and destroyed the Epstein and Company records? Think again. All this massive, unbelievable bank looting and mortgage frauds and stealing people's homes with predatory foreclosures and putting families out on the street, stealing everything they work for. Yeah, just like they did my parents at Harris Bay on Lake George, New York, back in the 1960s, when they swindled my mother and father for the Harris Bay Yacht Club. Holy shit, America. My parents' 600-acre marina on Lake George. They robbed my parents with a good old up and down and up and down and up and down ice pack. The ice and snow pack on Lake George, and then they'd fiddle with the lake levels at the Ticonderoga Dam. The dam number 230. The state of New York controlled the dam, and up and down and up and down and up and down the old ice and snowpack would go, destroying docks and boathouses all over the lake. Destroying docks and boathouses all over the lake, Sheriff Jim LaFar. That's right. And to District Attorney Carasone, and former District Attorney Hogan, and all the current Warren County Board of Supervisors, and my pals from Raybrook, New York, and Saranac Lake. Up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down the old ice and snowpack would go as the state of New York Conservation Commission, EVCON, Environmental Conservation, would control the lake level up and down and up and down and up and down with the Lake George Park Commission, destroying and splintering and just wrecking like beyond belief. Huge numbers of boathouses, shorelines, islands, and docks. And I got a really famous witness, by the way. His name is Luke Dow. His family owns the Lake George Steamship Company. And if I know anything at all, the Lake George Steamship Company has decades and decades of records on how the old lake would go up and down and up and down and up and down, destroying huge numbers of islands and boathouses and docks and bulkhead and, seawall is what they call it, where they bulkhead the lake shore, up and down and up and down and up and down with the old Lake George ice and snow levels in the winter time, and especially during the period between the drawdown, the ice in, and the ice out. That goes to my pals at the Lake George Association, because the Lake George Association is very well aware of what I'm talking about as a fact. These are facts. My mother and father got gang raped by the state for everything they ever worked for. Their home, their business, 600 acres of property. They wiped my mother and father out. So to President Donald Trump, fasten your seatbelt, pal, because all this bank looting and bank robbing and all these real estate schemes and scams and all these missing trillions, The chickens are coming home to roost. Donald Trump.